Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Revival of America podcast. This is Jenny. I'm the owner and the host of the Revival of America. Today we have Jake Lang in the house. He's a he's a J6ER, everybody. He's recently been pardoned by President Trump. So he is going to be in here today to tell his story of what he encountered, endured, the horrors he saw, how they treated him. So everybody, please, if you have a question for Jake, please feel free to raise your hand at some point in this podcast. I will unmute your mic and you can ask Jake your question. Also, too, if you cannot speak, please write your question under his picture on the wall. There is a picture of Jake on the wall. So please write your question under there if you have one, if you can't speak. Also, to everybody, once again and again and again, and I'm going to continue to tell you this because I encountered it this past week. Be careful who you follow, what you're listening to, and what you're putting into your mind. You do not know how close these snakes are. They literally were underneath my nose. So please, everybody, tighten up that circle. It's not about following all these people anymore. It's about getting the truth, the right guidance to get you through this. So everybody, if you have 3 to 5 people that you've been following through the course of your journey here, they're going to continue to guide you in that right direction. Stay out of the fear mongering, everyone. Stay out of the black pilling, the doom and gloom. It is out there. It is thick. It is real. And I'll tell you what, if you're sitting on the fence, if you're new to the movement, it will jack up your mind. So please, everybody, I can't tell you enough. Like I said, I encountered it over this past week, and you just never know who is that close to you that is a snake. So also, to everybody, we are being listened to in over 100 countries. If you come into this podcast late and you want to listen to it on the replay, or you'd like to share it with friends and family, you can follow us on the podcast hosts, which are iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Apple, Google, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Podbean, Riverside, Amazon Music. The social medias, they are all verified except for Truth Social. Still waiting on that. It is Jenny Jareed Facebook, at Jenny_Jareed Twitter, at JJareed Rumble, at JJareed True Social, at JJareed Instagram, The Revival of America right here on Telegram. And then go follow my TikTok, everybody. I've been putting some content up there, trying to do better at that. And that is the official JJareed. Also, too, if any of you have a story or a journey to tell, please feel free to reach out to me at the Revival of America at yahoo.com. Let us know your story, and we will get your voice and your story on the show, everybody. Because remember, it's your voice, your journey that's going to help shape this new world that we are coming into. Well, as Trump says, that we have just entered the golden age. So it's your stories that are going to help people wake up a little bit more and kind of see the light if they're still not awake. And at this point, everybody, don't try to wake anybody up. You're not going to do it. Those are the people that are going to have to see it to believe it. Some people may not survive it, but at the end of the day, this is where we're at. We are at war, and people need to try to wake up. But if you're trying to still wake people up on your own, don't do it. Don't waste your time. Too many great things are happening. Focus on the positive, everybody. A lot of people are not focusing on the positive and what is happening, and they're really missing the true journey and the beautifulness of what we are seeing take place. Also, to everybody, check out the website at therevivalofamerica.com. It is under construction. So we do have a newsletter out there that we send out every either Sunday night or early Monday morning of the weekly show lineups and the latest podcast. Go follow that or go sign up for that. It is free, and you will get those newsletters on a weekly basis. So with that, everybody, we'll wait for Jake to get in here, and we'll get started on this his story. It's absolutely amazing. I've listened to it through other podcasts, so I think you guys are going to be really enlightened. And I think it's just really good. These J6ers, their stories need to get out because they are being shut down, their voices, even still as they have become pardoned and out of jail. So let me see if he's here. Jake, if you are here, raise your hand. I'm looking for you, and I will unmute your mic. I don't see him, but hang in there, everybody. We'll get started here shortly. But in the meantime, if you guys have a question for me while we're waiting for Jake, please feel free to raise your hand, and I will do my best to answer your question. I'm going to text Jake here real quick, everybody, so bear with me. Let's see, Jake, if you are in here, I don't know if you have if it's your name that's on here, or it's a different handle. Raise your hand. I will unmute your mic. I don't see him, though. If somebody sees him, message me, let me know. Sometimes I can't see some of these people that enter the room. But I just messaged him, everybody. So hang in there, everybody. We'll hang tight until he shows up. Hang in there. He typically does a lot of his shows on X or, like Alpha Warrior. They'll do it. I think it's on Rumble that they do it on. So we'll soon get to those video parts of this podcast, I promise. It's just time consuming, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing. So hang in there, everybody. Is this the Jersey girl in the house from X over here? If it is, hello. We're waiting for Jake, everybody, to pop in here. So hang in there. Sounds like a broken record. Hang in there, hang in there, hang in there. But if you guys have a question for me in the meantime, please feel free to ask. Wait, raise your hand and I will unmute your mic. Go ahead, Palm Mom. How are you? Your mic is unmuted.
Hi, Jenny. I don't know who this Jack Lang is. What is he about?
So he's a J6er. So he's here to tell his story and what he went through and to get his voice out there because, as we know, a lot of these J6ers have been shunned and their voices have been silenced. So the J6ers, their stories need to get out there. There's so many that have been pardoned by Trump, and there are new people that are coming out still to this day. I think there was one that was released yesterday as well. So yeah, I really would like to help get their stories out because I know he went to CPAC last week, and I think a lot of those J6ers that were there were turned away at the door, and they spent money to go down there, flights, hotels, all that stuff. So from what I understand, and I was going to clarify this with Jake, is that the person that holds the CPAC is I think he's kind of riding both fences, but he's been getting some dark money. So I think maybe he might have been paid to turn these guys away. So so yeah, he's here to tell his story.
All right. Thank you, Jenny.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. All right, Own Doc, you're here. Go ahead and ask your question. Your mic is unmuted. Go ahead, Own Doc. All right, Jersey girl, go ahead. Your mic is unmuted.
Oh, I was just going to say hi. That's all.
Oh my gosh, it's you. How are you? Thank you for being here.
Oh, of course. Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to listen. I
Of
love your
course.
shows.
Thank you. Well, I hope he shows up. I just, a lot of people don't necessarily use their real names on a lot of these social media. So I'm trying to see if he's in here under Jake. I don't see him. But Jake, if you're here, raise your hand. I will unmute your mic. But I don't see you here under Jake Lang. I did message him, everybody. I know he's a busy dude. So, I hope it's not another situation like we had with SG, but, life happens, everybody, and we do this all in our free time. I know I don't get paid for this. And I'm sure Jake Lang doesn't either, and many of us don't, but hang in there, everybody. Thank you for your patience. I do appreciate it. Hopefully he'll pop in here soon. But in the meantime, we can chat. So kind of like we won it the other day with SGs. So yeah, if you have a question, go ahead.
Jenny, will you mute my mic so I don't bump it?
Yeah, no problem. I know he was advertising it over there on X as well. We were tagging each other and stuff. So I know he knows about it. I just don't know. Maybe he's running a little bit late, but I don't see any Jake Lang in here by that name. So Jake, if you're under a alias, please raise your hand. I will unmute your mic. And for those of you just joining, we are waiting for Jake to join the conversation. He is a busy guy. I know that. So maybe he got tied up somewhere. I don't know. I did send out a text message to him, letting him know that we were live. So hopefully he'll pop in here soon. Hello, Cal. Go ahead. Your mic is unmuted.
Hi.
Hi, Cal.
Hi. I just want to know if you're talking about down at CPAC, Matt Schlapp, or can you not say that he may have taken dark money?
That's exactly who, and that's exactly I've been hearing this week. So I was just kind of, I wanted to ask that question too, Jake, if he knew anything about that. But yes, that is what I read this past week. Yes. Did you read that
That's
as well?
Yes, I did, and I'm really shocked. But again, I guess we don't know everything that's going on in this movement.
Isn't that the truth? And also, too, things aren't always as they seem, everybody. So look over here when we're supposed to look over there. And I think a lot of this stuff that's going on right now that we're seeing is a lot of distractions from what is about to pop, and that is the Epstein files. So I think we're being distracted, everybody. So just be prepared. They're going to try to keep us looking over here when we should be looking when they release those Jeffrey Epstein files. And look who just entered the room, Mr. Jake. How are you?
Hey, Jenny, how we doing, guys? God bless America. Freedom ain't
Oh,
free. We fought.
oh, I'm so happy for you that you are free and you're here to tell your story. So, real quickly, Jake, a little bit about my podcast. So, my podcast is about the people's voices, right? So, you basically tell your story. The audience interacts with you by maybe asking questions that they have for you because, a lot of people are curious about this because you guys have been silenced for so long, right? And you still are getting that. So, I am glad that you are here. I'm glad to help you be a part of sharing your story. And if that means you need to come on here anytime you want to come on, mi casa su casa, my house is your house. Anytime you have a voice here, my friend. So you can just let me know, and you can be a regular, reoccurring guest if you like to be on here on the show. Because again, I want to help you guys get your stories out, and we are being listened to in over 100 countries, so we are making some noise.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. After being relegated to the depths of solitary confinement for over 900 days, and, being basically ostracized purposely by the United States government from my friends and family and from, my community. And then again, being, disgustingly humiliated this past week at CPAC by being kicked out live in front of hundreds of thousands of people. Our voices are being censored now more than ever, it seems like, even while I was in prison. And so this is a great opportunity to reach the American people directly. So thank you.
Well, I'm glad that you're doing that, and I think the more of us, the podcast, like yeah, I was listening to you on Alpha Warrior the other day about your kind of letting people know what they could do to help you, and that's help give you guys a bigger voice, right, than just you out there speaking it. So that's why I say, my friend Jake and I, we've been talking for a little bit, and actually, I think he and I messaged each other. I think I heard him in a podcast or X Space over there on X. And I reached out to him. And I said, "Hey, I'd love to get you on my show," not knowing that he was still in prison. So he said, I'll do it right now. I can do it now. And unfortunately, because I have a day gig too, I kind of got to schedule the podcast. I couldn't do it right then and there. And then the next day he went to solitary confinement. So I was like, shit. And he was silent for a while because I think you were able to, you were able to communicate with a bunch of us within the confinements of jail, correct?
Yeah, by God's grace, He kept on opening up doors for me to, speak out and tell the story of the political persecution of the Jan Sixers, the lies that the DOJ was telling about us. This lawfare, this weaponized FBI that had, orchestrated January 6th and then tried to pit it on President Trump and, turn the American people against him and, throw him in jail. Literally tried to um, imprison President Trump, and they did successfully imprison us for 4 years and 6 days. I spent incarcerated without ever being found guilty or going to trial.
Man, that is some bullshit. So walk us down this path with you, Jake, and how this happened to you. Obviously, you were part of J6. Can you kind of walk the people through that may not know your exact story? Kind of walk us through, what happened that day and how it all transpired to the day that you got out of prison by the pardon of Trump. And then we can take some questions, and you can talk a little bit about that CPAP too, because I read earlier this week that Matt Schlepp person might be taking some dark money, and that was maybe one of the reasons why you guys got turned away. So if you don't, I would love for you to tell your story to the people, because not many people know it. A lot of people know of the J6ers, but each individual person has a different, unique story.
Of course. Well, I mean, my story, for CPAC, we'll get into that later. I was obviously, in front of millions of people, kicked out of CPAC for being a January 6er. And then the second day as well, when Matt had, allegedly invited us back, trying to make, trying to fix and heal the Wednesdays, the first day of CPAC's, horrible, embarrassing, live stream kick out of me and Enrique Tarrio, founder of the Proud Boys, and Stuart Rhodes, founder of the Oath Keepers. Once these things transpired, we were allegedly welcomed back the next day, but he kicked me out again because they're rhinos, and I'm running for United States Senate in the great state of Florida against the rhino Ashley Moody. And, there's probably some deep ties and connections there with, the DeSantis team that tried to, stand up against Trump and took, tens of millions of dollars of dark money to do that. And so, there's some hatred there. They don't like us real 1776 MAGA patriots. So, but my January 6th story goes way back because it's been many years now. And, it obviously goes back to that fateful day when free men stood up against tyranny, when we boldly, peacefully, patriotically protested the stolen 2020 election. The Capitol Police turned their weapons on us with a pre-orchestrated plan from Nancy Pelosi and all of those who, are basically part of the cabal, the deep state cabal, had orchestrated January 6th, bringing, a bunch of emotional, as rightfully so, angry patriots that wanted to, protect our country, and then attacking us and then making us defend ourselves from a barrage of concussion grenades, steel batons, pepper ball bullets, pepper spray. And so, unfortunately, that day turned into a mass murder event where they murdered 4 unarmed American citizens, and 0 Capitol Police officers died that day. And so, this was an act of unspeakable act of aggression on us, and really, showed the deep state's true colors, a willingness to murder and maim and kill American citizens is horrible.
So, so once you got incarcerated, tell us how they treated you in there, because from what I understand, they did not necessarily treat you well, very nicely, to say
Of
the
course.
least.
Of course. I mean, basically they had 10 days later on January 16th, 2021, the FBI had raided my home. I was walking back from church and they got me on the street. About 10 vans pulled up. They tackled me onto the street corner. I was actually limping on crutches because I had been shot on January 6th with a rubber bullet and my foot exploded. Um, and so, now I'm in prison after the FBI arrests me, and they start shuffling me across the country. They leave me in solitary confinement for years at a time. They assaulted me multiple times for doing Bible studies and, for trying to, speak out against the suppression and the corrupt, two-tiered nature of why we were being selectively prosecuted while, all of the Black Lives Matter and Antifa and Hamas rioters had been given the kid gloves treatment and leniency. The Jan Sixers had been, getting the book thrown at them. And so, now we're suffering for years and years inside a prison cell and praying, asking the Lord God, our Savior, Jesus Christ, to answer our prayers and to deliver us from evil. And after 1,467 days of incarceration without a trial, my Father in heaven answered my prayers and opened up the prison doors for me.
So, and how did that feel when you heard that Trump was pardoning everybody? How did that make you feel?
Well, I mean, it felt like a biblical moment of deliverance. You can't put that into words. It's, the culmination of thousands of nights of prayers, and you know um it's a miracle. It's a miracle. How does it feel to receive, a blessing from God that comes out of a window of heaven?
Oh, that's amazing, Jake. I'm so proud of you, and I know you've done a lot to help get a lot of these other J6ers out. How are we doing with that? Are there still a lot of J6ers sitting in prison, and what can we do as the people to help with that besides get your guys' voices out?
Of course. Well, today we had another miracle. A 17-year Master Sergeant of the Green Berets, Jeremy Brown, was just released from prison today, literally moments ago. And so that's all over my X page on Jake Lang J6 on Twitter or X. The video of him being released. And so, we're fighting hard. We're winning the battle, and we're going to make sure that President Trump follows through on his promises. He pardoned us all, but some of my guys are still left behind, like my friend Edward Kelly, who is a former U.S. Marine, father of a 2-year-old and a 7-year-old. And, you know, the this man has been had trumped up false charges brought against him stemming from January 6th from the FBI, and he still remains behind bars facing life in prison.
So where are we at with that? Is he gonna get out, or what are they doing? Are they dragging their feet?
Um, we're fighting every day. This is a very um, delicate circumstance and scenario because of what they're alleging that he did, and he's already been found guilty of this next criminal, this next federal trumped up weaponized criminal case. And so, he hasn't been sentenced for it yet, but he's facing life in prison for threatening to kill FBI agent, they said. And I just don't believe it. I know Edward's character, and he's a patriot, and I'm proud to call him one of my best friends. And so, we really need to stand together as a community right now and openly call for Edward Kelly to be released. If you guys want more information on that, you can, check in. I'm about to break some, he has a whistleblower that's about to come forward on his case, and we're about to break that on my page on Jake Lang J6.
Yeah, let me know what I could do to help to get any part of that out or whatever we need to do. If you need to do a show on here, we can do that as well. Real quickly though, too, Jake. Also, too, I've heard a lot of the J6ers talk about. Obviously, they want to have their name cleared and all that stuff, the felony charges and all that. Is all that stuff going to be dropped? Because you guys were falsely accused.
Well, there's a few guys left that have felony charges because their sentences were only commuted. And so everybody else has all their, they've been officially pardoned and they're no longer felons.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good news. Okay, so that's really good news. So now, so tell us now, Jake, where you're at. I mean, since you've been out what, a few weeks now, right?
Yep, been out 36 days now.
Okay, 36 days. What have you done? You sound like you have accomplished a lot in those 36 days. Can you tell everybody where you're at, what you're doing since you've been out?
Of course. So, you know, we've been pushing very hard for the freedom of my brothers. We've been raising money for the January 6th Life Rebuilding Project, which is on J6rebuild.com, and helping basically get guys into homes and, first month's rent, groceries, new pair of sneakers, a cell phone bill. And so, this is a very important thing. And if you guys want to try to help with our, movement to get these guys resettled into society, please go to J6rebuild.com. We also have the Federal Watchdog, which is my organization that is going to be filing a $50 billion lawsuit on the federal government, on the DOJ for their egregious, horrible treatment of the Jan Sixers, their wrongful incarceration. And we are also running for United States Senate. So this is, this is big, and there are many projects and things in the fire. We've always juggled, multiple different projects at the same time. While I was incarcerated, I ran the Political Prisoner podcast, which became one of the #1 podcasts in the country for many years. And we made documentaries that, still the #1 viewed video ever on Rumble, called The Truth About January 6th. And, we run basically many different fundraising organizations for the Jan Sixers. So, many different advocacy groups and initiatives that we start to benefit the Jan Sixers. And so, please support and help us out, guys. Follow me on the Twitter on X, Jake Lang J6, and please donate on J6rebuild.com.
I'll put his link on the wall, everybody, so you guys can go follow him and just kind of watch what he's doing. So real quickly, Jake, before I open it up to the audience for questions. So everybody, if you have a question, please feel free to start raising your hands. I will unmute your mic. You can talk to Jake, ask your questions. Please do, because everybody here, you may have a different question than the next. And all those questions are important because we need to hear what Jake has to say about what happened to J6. This truth needs to get out. So I also too heard a story Alpha brought up about your father. It was a very touching story. You were talking about your father and how he was feeling when you were incarcerated. Can you kind of tell that story? I thought that was so sweet.
Well, of course, I mean, my dad is like the superhero of January 6th. Um, there are many, we're so blessed in this community with like many advocates, and it turns out many of them are, we have lots of J6 grandmas, we call them, and we love them so much. But my dad came be kind of like the hallmark father, like never surrender, fight to get his son out, the love of a father for the J6ers, and stood outside prisons with sign on his chest, my son is a political prisoner to the deep state. And we had so much love and support around his fight for me. It was incredible to see. And I love him very much, and he's been by my side this entire time. And I'll be fishing with him in Key West in the next couple weeks here.
Oh, that's so awesome. I love those stories. And then last but not least for me, Jake, tell us how you decided to run for Senate. I think that's super cool.
Well, this Senate campaign means so much to me after, the 900 days of solitary confinement. I feel like this is the natural culmination for a political prisoner to then try to right the wrongs that had, wrongfully incarcerated him in the first place. And, we walk in the footsteps of great the giants of the world here who have been political prisoners, who have, then later on gone to make change and improve their countries, like Nelson Mandela and Mahatma Gandhi and many others. And so, we're very blessed to be in this circumstance, that God has turned what the devil intended for evil and used to give us a platform. And God willing, will, drive out the deep state and all the disingenuous haters of our country from out of our midst.
And we will do that. We are seeing that as we speak. So I think with the work that you're doing, Jake, and all of us behind you, you're going to kill the deep state. And I look forward to seeing it all. All right,
Amen.
everybody. All right, everybody, go ahead and start raising your hands, and you can feel free to ask Jake. Please don't be afraid, everybody. These are the stories that need to get out, and again, are going to help shape our new world that we're coming into. So don't be nervous. We're here. Jake is here. And Jake, if you have any other people, J6ers, that would like to tell their story and come on and tell their story here, please let me know. We'll get their voices heard. I'm trying to run a J6 series because your guys' voices are super important, and I'm tired of them just being shut down. So we can connect on the backside. And again, you are welcome here anytime.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, Susan F. Military, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead.
Thank you. Jake, as soon as you said go to j6rebuild.com, I did that while you were speaking, and it quickly sent me over to Give, Send, Go. Is that where we donate? Is that how it works?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you. And then I didn't ever hear the end of the saga when the J6ers weren't allowed to go to the CPAC. Did they write that wrong, or were you completely ostracized by that?
So I was the lone Jan Sixer that was ostracized later. In the on Wednesday, me, Enrique Tario, and Stuart Rhodes were all kicked out, and then we were all supposedly invited back the next day. But then the next day, I was still denied access. So they doubled down on their their attempt to humiliate us. But I think we overcame that nonsense. And they've exposed their hand more than we've they've shown how evil they are more than how the American people love us. And so they are now turning against CPAC, as they should. It's been the rhino convention of all time.
Yeah, that was a good exposure. I've been thinking that they've been rhinos for a long, long time because I was raised Republican, have always been, but since Trump came in office and started saying, that there is a lot of bad in the Republican Party, they're just as bad as I would say the Democrats, because at least the Democrats tell us what they're going to do. The rhinos lie to us and do the opposite of, you know. But thank you for your service. Gosh, my heart goes out to you and all the J6ers, and I pray that someday we can say you're all out of prison.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Susan. All right, New Envies, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead and ask Jake your question.
Good afternoon, Jake. I am actually listening to you from Switzerland in Geneva, and I thought it would be maybe heartwarming for you to know that there are people all over the world concerned about your situation. I'm just very, very happy that this is getting much better. And just for you guys to know, we have a lot of doctors here, even though it's not the same subject, but the one who didn't agree with the jabs, some of them have been jailed over here. Some of them are obliged to take medications, otherwise they are jailed as well. And they are like checked, they have to report to the police for blood test every week. So, I mean, terrible things are going on also over here in Europe. I wish you the very best and keep the good job going. Thank you.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you, New Envies, and thank you for that update on your world over there. Thank you so much. All right, Carol Elstrom, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead. Go ahead, Carol.
There we go.
There you go.
I should know better, but I didn't. But thank you, Jenny, for what you're doing, number one, because I
Aw-
listen to your podcasts all the time. No matter who you have on, I'm usually there listening. Jake,
Thank you.
thank you for what you did. I'm sorry for what happened to you. I would like to know where you were incarcerated, where you're running for Senate, because I don't know. And the other thing is, I have been a friend of J6 for quite a long time, but I live in North Carolina. So the person that I am mostly in tune with is Suzanne Monk, and she has the J6 Pardon Project in Washington, D.C. So, but I didn't know about you. So now I'm just asking where you were and what you're running, where you're running at.
So I was in Washington, D.C. Gulag
You were?
for many years. Yes.
Real quick, Carol, can you mute your mic? We're getting a lot of feedback.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
So I was in the DC Gulag for over 2 years, and I was also in Brooklyn, New York, the most dangerous federal prison in the world. There was 2 murders on my floor in under 30 days, and I spent a lot of time in solitary confinement everywhere I went because of our podcast and our willingness to push forward. And I am running for United States Senate in the great state of Florida for Marco Rubio's open seat. That he has left for the Secretary of State position that is currently by the appointed interim Senator Ashley Moody, the Rhino that Rhino DeSantis, has appointed temporarily, and we will be duking it out in the primary of August 2025.
I sure wish I could vote for you, but I have friends in in Florida also. So I will be saying to them, look at Jake Lang and please vote for him.
Yeah,
But
sorry, August
anyway,
2026. I'm sorry.
yeah, but thank you and God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. All right, everybody, if you have a question for Jake, please feel free to raise your hand. I will unmute your mic. If you can't speak, you can write your question under his picture on the wall. Best Press, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead.
Thank you. I was just wondering if you believe DeSantis is not a good guy or not. I hear so much back and forth, and I just scratch my head, honestly, because so many lies out there.
I think DeSantis has some great policy stances he takes. I believe that he had basically swallowed his own foot by trying to run against Trump in 2024. He kind of showed that some of his backing and some of the people he owes favors to are from kind of the conservative Inc. uniparty Republican establishment Rhino division, and so I don't believe he is, without the ability to be compromised. I believe that he owes favors to some of his dark money donors, and those things are, coming out to the light every day.
Definitely, that makes sense. Thank you so much. I don't know much for your services. I'd say your sacrifices for what you've done and for what the people have done. The military, I think it's more of a sacrifice for what they've put up in their life. But I do thank you very much. And Jenny, you know how we feel about you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I hope it's good. No, I'm kidding.
I don't think you should ask that. I think by now you should know who we are. We
I
really,
know who you are.
we really are, do adore all your shows you put out there. And my mom and I are here every time listening and learning more and more. And that's what it's about. We've been here 5 years learning, and that's what it's been about. So I do thank you for that as well. But
Amen.
thank you
Thank
all
you.
for your sacrifices. Have a great day.
Thank you, Best Press. Okay, Eddie Can, I'm going to unmute your mic. Go ahead and ask Jake your question. Go ahead, Eddie.
Hey, Jake. I mean, God bless you, sir. I'm really sorry you had to go through that for this country. You know, it shouldn't have been like that. But when you were in the gulag there in Washington, D.C., did they try to force the jab on you in the very beginning, and how were they? I mean, how did they mistreat you? And are you going to go after them at all? Legally?
Well, yes, we are going to be going after them legally, and that's one of the things that'll be inside the federal watchdog lawsuit. And yes, they did try to coerce us in the most demonic way possible to take the jab. They basically said you won't be able to visit your family unless you're vaccinated. And so, unfortunately, many of my brothers, had coalesced to their coercement. And, some people took the jab. I never took it. A majority of the Jan Sixers did not take it, but they told us we wouldn't be able to go outside for outdoor recreation. They told us we wouldn't be able to go to religious services. They told us we wouldn't be able to have in-person family visitation. They told us we wouldn't be able to visit our attorneys without quarantining for 14 days in solitary afterwards if we didn't take the jab. So it was really, really a horrible scenario to be in.
Thank you, man. May God bless you, Jake. I hope everything in life, you get everything in life that you deserve, which prosperity, man. I hope the best for you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. God bless you.
So Jake, with that, with the way he was talking about the jab, so you guys did experience not seeing your families, talking to your lawyers and stuff like that. The ones that didn't. I mean, did you not get to see your families? Did you guys did they actually follow through with that threat?
Actually, even worse than that, they allowed some people to get jabbed, and they still never let any of us see our families for 15 to 18, about 18 months. Regardless if you were jabbed or not. So how disgusting is that?
That's evil, like you say, demonic. Now we know some people, or have heard that some people, unfortunately, passed within the confinements of being incarcerated. Is that factual,
Um,
or is that even?
I
Can you touch on that?
I'm trying to think of any situations. There were multiple deaths that happened, including, God forbid, suicides. That the deep state had tortured these poor people into thinking that there was hopelessness and nothing but hopelessness and incarceration for them for the rest of their lives. But I don't know of any specific circumstances of any Jan Sixers dying behind bars. I know people that got sick behind bars, very sick, and passed away afterwards. My friend Michael, former U.S. Marine, older man, has since passed. And so, but I don't know of any particular circumstances of anybody dying while in custody, other than obviously the four unarmed people, Roseanne Boyland, Ashley Babbitt, Kevin Greason, and Benjamin Phillips, that died at the Capitol protesting a stolen election peacefully.
Man, that's so sad. I'm so sorry to hear that. Can you also too? I did get a message when that day everybody was getting out for the pardons. When Trump, pardoned everybody, I got a message. I want to think it was about you, that see if I could pass it on to some of the people that I talked to on the backside, that they were mishandling many J6ers, physically assaulting them. The day that people were getting pardoned, they weren't letting some J6ers out when they had already been pardoned. Can you touch on that? Do you know anything about that?
Sorry, say again. I don't understand.
So the night that Trump pardoned everybody, right? And then that night, everybody was starting to get out of the gulag or wherever they were incarcerated, right? So, and then I got a message from somebody saying, "Hey, can you get this to so and so and see if you can get it to Trump?" I'm understanding that they're mishandling these J6ers. They're physically assaulting them, and I want to say you were one of them that they were mishandling that night. So can you do you know anything about that? Is that factual? Can you touch on that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, once you receive a presidential pardon, you're immediately supposed to be released. And they had tried to hold us for an extra 24 hours. So I made a stand. I packed up all my stuff out of my cell and I'm like, open up the doors. I got paperwork on me right now that says I'm a free man. I said, and they came in like 10, these thug correctional officers in DC jail, I mean, basically all raging liberals, and had handcuffed me and thrown me back in my cell for the night. And I was released the next day. But yeah, they roughed me up and wrenched my wrists and everything, and just pathetic.
Wow, I'm so sorry to hear that. We have a true hero here in the house, and he won't call himself a hero, but I don't know if you know about Field McConnell. But Field McConnell, did you want to talk to Mr. Jake Lang? Your mic is unmuted. Field is the original whistleblower for 9/11, FYI. Field, are you there? Please push the blue mic. Hello.
Hi,
Go ahead,
Jenny.
Field. Hi, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to ask this gentleman, and I'm starting to cry, but
Oh, don't cry,
no, it's
Field.
okay. No, I mean, look at the price he paid. And,
Yep.
but I just want to say something about Governor Ron DeSantis. Um, yeah, he's a rhino, all right. I was falsely accused. I was arrested with no due process and no crime. I was never proven to be guilty. I was separated from my wife for here comes a crying, uh, 16 months. And the judge down in Florida, when I asked him, and I had a letter signed by a career medical person that was retired saying that my wife was terminal, and the guy wouldn't let me go home, and he considered me a flight risk. But listen, I didn't want to call to talk about me. I just want to ask what I might be able to do for you, Jake. I respect you a great deal. I respect your father. I respect those with you that also got treated unconstitutionally. That's my choice of words. But I would like for you to tell Jenny the name of that senior Marine that was in there with you, because, Marines stick together. And another plug for Marines is nobody in the world could have a better friend, and nobody in the world could have a worse enemy than a Marine, because Marines are not afraid of dying. But if one of my Marine brothers was mistreated or worse, I'd like to get involved. And so, Jenny, if he can give you the name of that senior Marine, maybe you can get that to me later on, tonight or
His
tomorrow. It
name
doesn't matter.
his name is Edward Kelly, Kelley. And if you look on my Twitter page on Jake Lang J6, I'm going to be dropping a bombshell whistleblower uh, post here momentarily. So just stay up in tune with that. And we're raising money. I put hundreds of dollars on Edward's commissary and his phone account, every week, to make sure that he is able to maintain his communications and eat properly and not starve and stuff. And we also are trying our hardest to get him a full and complete pardon for all charges stemming for January 6th. And so Semper Fi, my grandfather was a Marine. My grandfather was a Marine in Korea. My uncle was a Marine in Nam. And I have great fidelity and love for my Marine brothers. And I spent a lot of time with a lot of Marines in prison, all my Jan 6 brothers, many of them were Marines. And so, we can't leave any man behind. You're right. So, Edward Kelly is his name, Kelley. If you just Google him, you will see all of the trumped up, bogus lies they're telling about him. And if you want to support to help Edward Kelly and donate to keeping him afloat while he's in prison, just go to j6rebuild.com and make a donation there.
Thank you very much for that. And you're right that you have a lot of. This is really touching. You
Aw.
have more Marine friends than you might know, and you just got one more in this brief conversation. I told Jenny I'd be quiet, so Jenny, you can shut my mic off now, and I'll go home and be quiet. And
Oh,
look at
Field. You're good, Field. You're good. Field is a former Marine as well, everybody. So, and he is on my show every Monday if you don't know that already. But yes, thank you, Field. I wrote down all that information and I will get that on over to you for Edward Kelly. So thank you for sharing and coming up to speak.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Jersey girl.
Sorry, I want to slip it in there. Hi, Jake. I'm right here with everybody else, giving you support. I am from Washington, D.C., worked around a lot of snakes. But what I wanted to know was, how were you all treated when you went into jail? Because the climate was insanity back then. And then the other half of the question is, did people in there did they not know the real story about things that are happening? Were you all accepted more towards the end? That's what I was wondering.
So the culture progressed a lot. I mean, in the beginning, the prison guards in DC jail thought we were like what the media was reporting us to be: violent domestic terrorists, white nationalists, horrible neo-Nazis. And, so they treated us horribly in the beginning, but then they started to see our character, our godly Christian character, the prayer groups, us singing the national anthem. They saw that we were by far the least dangerous human beings that have ever been incarcerated. Very respectful. Most of my brothers, over 50% of the guys that actually ended up inside prison are former military and Army Rangers, Green Berets, Special Operators, U.S. Marines, and Navy, whatnot, but just awesome people. And so we started to earn the respect of the administration there in the DC jail. They left us alone. And then when President Trump won, it was all bets were off. They started to try to appease and to coddle us because they know accountability is right around the corner for the inhumane, disgusting, cruel, and unusual punishment they put us through for years.
Well, I'll tell you, the worst thing for everybody else who's on the other side of those doors, Jake, is that we felt horrible. There was nothing. We were powerless. There was nothing we could really do to get you guys out. And thank God you are. Thank God for President Trump. And do you know how many people are left in the prisons or no?
We have 4 Jan 6ers behind bars right now. We've been fighting for the last, 35 days since I've been out of prison, and we got 3 of them out. So 4 left, 3 down out of 7, 4 to go.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Jersey girl. And Jake, real quickly, are those 7 and you got the 3 out? There's 4 left. Is that just in the DC gulag, or is that around? Because I know a bunch of you guys have been you've kind of gone different places, right? Been here and then moved there and then everywhere. Is that just for the gulag and DC?
There's only 1 man left actually in the DC gulag. They moved us everywhere. Taylor Toronto is still there. So most people are in other prisons across the country.
So out of all the J6ers, there's only 4 left. I mean, that's still bad because everybody was pardoned, right? So, but I mean, that's pretty good in the sense of you guys are almost out. So That's exciting news. Thank you for sharing that. Everybody, if you guys have a question for Jake, please feel free to raise your hand. We're going to take a couple more questions because we're right about the hour mark. Because I'm sure, Jake, you got other stuff to do, right? Another interview or something like that.
I was a little late into this one because I was just on with Ann Vandersteel and trying to also be a human being and take my fiance out to a nice dinner tonight. See one of the things that I didn't realize when I got out of prison, because I worked very hard while I was incarcerated. I did 1,500 interviews, raised millions of dollars for my brothers, and I literally was just stuck in my office all day in solitary confinement on this little tablet they give you that you can text off of and make calls off of, that are all monitored, and you have to pay for every text and every call. But still, I was like an 18-hour a day full-time grind. They brought me my food 3 times a day through my little doggy tray slot. They handed me my food. They did my laundry for me. So I was just like on a 24/7 grind to tell the truth about January 6th. And now that I'm out, I got to do all these. I got all these other responsibilities. I miss working 18 hours a day. I miss it. So anyway, there are pros and cons to every situation, and the silver lining of being stuck in a gulag for 900 days solitary confinement, 1,467 days of total incarceration, is that I had a clear, focused mind without any distractions and was able to laser in on the deep state and getting me and my brothers out.
Well, that is awesome. And, I'm sure you're going to continue to stay busy moving forward here. Tim, go ahead. Your mic is unmuted. Go ahead and ask Jake your question.
Yeah, first and foremost, I'd like to say thank you to everyone involved with this. Jake, to you, Kelly, to you, all your admin team. It's been quite a process, and we've been at it for years and years now. The one thing I would like to say, I'm from North Carolina, and we've been experiencing this snake called Tom Tillis for years. He's an absolute rhino. He's got to be gone. There's no other way to put it. But what I did want to say is we certainly appreciate your fight. We're not going anywhere. They're going somewhere, and we all know where they're going. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tim. And yes, we know where they're going. So hopefully we know where they're going. All right, Jake. So let's see. So you moving forward, what can we anticipate other than you running for Senate in Florida and obviously trying to get your J6ers out? You are engaged, I hear. Congratulations. So what can we see from Mr. Jake Lang here in the near future? We gonna have a new senator of Florida?
Amen. God willing, we've got our whole hearts dedicated to changing this country, to ensuring the next generation of Americans never have to live with political prisoners and persecuted patriots. Say that 4 times fast. Down the street from the United States Capitol, we were like 2 miles away from the halls of liberty that enshrine our constitutional republic, and it was being trampled upon. So, my goal, my cry and my promise to the American people is that never again, we will never allow two-tiered weaponized justice to rip apart this country and nearly almost destroy us.
Well, I appreciate that. And, you've got a lot of backing and a lot of support, Jake. So like I said, if ever you want to come back on here, you have a place to come. Any of your J6ers want to share their story, I think it's imperative that they get on as many podcasts as they can. We've got to get these stories out because it happened. People need to know. And you hear some people coming in here still unknowing maybe about your situation or many others. So I'm very thankful that you came on here. I know we've been trying to get you on here, but every day's a different day with me as it is with you. So I'm so glad you're here. Mary G, go ahead. I'm going to unmute your mic and you can ask Jake your question. Go ahead, Mary.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all you do, Jenny. And Jake, somebody needs to get this to President Trump, your story and the other 3 or 4 that are in there. That needs to be sent to President Trump. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. or anybody would have to go through that in our great United States. And I'm in tears. Um, but somebody needs to get this to Trump.
Real quickly, Jake, have you had any kind of communication with Trump or his team or any of that? I'm sure he knows about all you guys, obviously.
Yeah, we talk to his advisors and his team quite often, and so we're just trying to find put our last finishing touches on some type of reparations or settlement for compensation package for the Jan Sixers.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I think the more you speak about it, the different, podcasts that you go on, it's getting out there, right? So it's going to be heard. It will be heard. It is being heard. Trump does listen to podcasts. He goes on podcasts now. So I think you're doing great things. And everybody here, if you don't have any more questions, I know Jake wants to go take his fiance to dinner, as he should. But real quickly, I would like to introduce everybody here to one of my new admins, Santino. I see you popped in here. Did you want to say anything to Jake before we close this out and let him go have a nice dinner with his fiance?
Hi, Jake. Thank you so much for coming. I showed up late. I was walking and I didn't have a good connection, but thank you for all the work that you're doing. Thank you, Jenny, for having this space. Well, space. Yeah, that's a space, and it's great that you're giving everybody a voice. And I don't have any questions because I joined very late, and my apologies. But we're in this together, so we got to keep the fight, right? Thank you so much.
Amen. Thank you, Santino. And Jake, God bless you. Thank you for being here. Go enjoy your evening with your fiance, and I'll get with you on the backside because I think I would like to, as you continue moving forward, you can come in and we can do a show and you can give us some updates and some progress on the J6ers that are still in there, and what more we can do to help you and your fellow brothers out there to do what we need to do to help you.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you all. The American people, your votes made my life, give me a second chance. And so all glory to God who moved your hearts and moved President Trump's hearts. He is the God who saves, redeems, and hears the prayers of the righteous and never forsakes those who call upon his name. So may God bless you guys. God bless America. Freedom isn't free. The Jan Sixers paid for it. Check out my Twitter. I put it in the chat, the Revival of America podcast chat. Jake Lang, J6, and donate at j6rebuild.com.
Thank you, Jake. God bless you. And everybody here, come back at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be on over at X and my X space with Silk from the Diamond and Silk Show. As you know, she's a hoot. So come join us. God bless you, Jake. We'll talk to you soon. And thank you, everybody, for being here. Have a great night.